Hello folks, welcome back to my channel. I am a very excited boy, as obviously you've read by the title of the video. I have this, the new CHIGEE AIO-6 LTE edition, to be specific. So if that is of interest to you, stick around, stay tuned, please watch until the end. That would do wonders for the channel, and if you like the sort of content that I make, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. Let's roll the intro and I'll talk about it some more. Okay, so I was incredibly surprised and also pleased when CHIGEE asked if I'd like to be one of the first people in the world to review and beta test the new AIO-6, and being a tech nerd, of course I said yes. So this video is going to be quite lengthy, quite nerdy in some aspects, but I want to answer the age-old sort of question, which is, do inches really matter? So what I'm going to do is, so I want to first of all sort of caveat and answer a bit of an elephant in the room. So I'm fairly active on some of the Facebook groups, and ever since the 5 came out, the one criticism people had, and I was also one of those, was I just wish it was a little bit larger. And a lot of people compared it to the Carpuride W702 and said they should make a 7-inch version. Now, I've seen a lot of people are quite unhappy that they have only made a 6-inch version and not a 7-inch. So I just wanted to address the size of this unit. Could they have gone to a 7-inch? And do I think they should have done? Well, could they have done? Probably yes. Would it have increased the cost of the unit? Probably. What I will say, I think it is a lot of it's down to personal preference, really. I ran the Carpuride 7-inch for probably a good 10 months and absolutely loved it. Prior to that, I had a Garmin Zumo XT, and the one, as well as people not complaining but saying my eyesight's not brilliant, I really wish they would release a larger unit. The 5-inch is just a little bit too small. I've seen an equal number of people, a lot of whom have actually commented on my video saying, oh my god, the 7-inch Carpuride is huge, it looks ridiculous, I would have gone for the 5-inch. Which just proves you can't please everyone. So I just wanted to get the size of the unit out of the way. The form factor and the size of the screen is more or less the same as the Garmin Zumo XT, maybe even the XT2. I know the XT2 has got a slightly larger screen. Nobody ever, to my knowledge, had an issue with the screen on those and asked for a larger version. And obviously with the XT2 they only made it fractionally larger anyway. So I've had this for about a month. They kindly sent me a sort of press kit with all of the options in there, the OBD module, the cameras, everything you could want, and so I've been living with it for the last month. I've also stuck a SIM card in it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to, by the magic of editing, switch back to the shed, go through the unit, the specs, probably nerd out a little bit too much, and then I'm gonna come back and show you some real world usage. I'm just on my way to J&S in Northwich to get some more armoured, Kevlar jeans, because I'm wearing through the seams on mine because I'm a bit on the tubby side. But anyway, so yeah, let's do that, and then we'll hop back and I'll show you it in use.
Okay, let's talk flexibility and modularity. Everyone's talking about the 4G options, the bigger screen size, obviously. What I want to talk about first is the flexibility. So I know a couple of people who have multiple bikes. In some cases, for instance, a BMW and also maybe a KTM. And they went down the more, cheaper option sort of route and bought two cheaper, Apple CarPlay units, one for each bike. Because at the time of the AIO-5 being out, they were like, well, I really like the AIO-5, but if I was going to get one for my GS, well, obviously I'd buy the BMW version, but I don't want to buy a second one. So this, I think, is where the AIO-6 really shines. You can buy whatever bundle you want. So let's just dive into that. We obviously have the actual unit itself. Nothing really out of the ordinary there. It just looks like a more scaled up version of the AIO-5. But on the back, instead of a mount, we have a USB-C port, which will receive either the BMW mount, which will slide in the back, 4 T10 screws, and that will then simply go straight into the back of your BMW nav, navigation cradle. But if you want to use their own quick release system, then the same applies. Slots straight into the back, 4 T10 screws, and you can use the quick release mount provided by CHIGEE. Or if you want a more traditional mounting option, you can go for the ball mount, and there are a multitude of options, like the mirror, the mirror mount, the fork stem mount, and also the bar mount, which supports 22 to 33 mil. I think these mounts are already available for the AIO-5. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty certain these are. So you can customize it however you like. Now, what I will also add is, for the BMW version, a lot of people were like, well, got the BMW version, but I don't really want to buy, say, an Innov, or remove the nav cradle to fit the AIO-5 Lite. So on the side of the BMW adapter, we have another USB-C port, which means you can plug this wiring harness into, which then feeds off to the cameras. So complete, flexibility. And you can add the remote if you don't have them, the TPMS, the OBD reader to get bike info on the screen, the CGRC LIN if you're a BMW owner. So yeah, complete and utter flexibility to have the bundle your way. And I think if I had a BMW bike, and that was all I had, and that was all I was ever going to ride, well, it would make sense for me to buy the unit and the BMW adapter. But if I had multiple bikes, non-BMW bikes, or one BMW, one, you know, sort of KTM maybe, I would probably go for this, the CHIGEE quick you know, quick release mount, because this is probably the most lowest, you know, profile one. All of the wiring stays on the bike, and this can just be moved from bike to bike. And they do obviously sell a second CHIGEE quick release option that you can put onto a second bike. So that makes it incredibly quick. If you do have either a BMW and a non-BMW, or just non-BMW multiple bikes, you can carry this you know, setup over to as many bikes as you want. And on some of them maybe you have cameras, and on others you don't. It will just work. And that's what I really love about this. Okay, so let's get to actually setting the unit up. So I've obviously used this unit already, so I can't show you the activation of the unit through the app. But I've reset the unit. We're going to go through and we're going to breeze through the initial setup. What I already have done is taken off the little rubber on the side. As you can see there's a USB-C port, a micro SD card slot, and a SIM card slot. I think if you get the Max, obviously it won't have the SIM card slot in it, but I imagine it'll be a fairly similar you know, looking port on there. So let's give the unit some power and go, and we'll get a sort of first boot. Okay, so choose our language. I do have a camera right in front of my face, so apologies if I'm moving this around a bit more than you would like, but let's choose English. Okay, so the unit's booted up. So this is the home screen that we're sort of greeted with. We obviously have information for the weather, bearing, front and rear tire pressures, which obviously are not going to show anything right now because it's not plugged into the bike. The options for Apple CarPlay, recording, riding info, and obviously the setup. Now what we can do is we can make this little bar go up and down. So if we go into, well, if I go into the weather there, it's obviously not, you know, picking up anything because at the moment, because it's not linked to my phone. But if it was, we would be showing that. So let's go into the setup. What options do we have? The usual auto brightness, you know, manual brightness. Do we want the touch tone, startup sound? I'm going to turn the touch tone off because it, quite frankly, annoys me. We have options for the storage. The SD card is because obviously I've already recorded a fair amount of footage. So let's go into features. So time. So I want it in day, month, year. Time zone. I don't know if we're UTC here in England. I'm just gonna leave that. I do want it on the 24-hour system. Tire pressure monitoring. Well, obviously it's not going to pick up anything because it's not plugged into the bike right now or paired to the TPMS. But I'm going to oh, there we go. So that's for the pairing for the sensors. So I'm going to change that from bar to PSI, and I'm going to set the low for the front to be, well, it should be 36 on my bike, so maybe 30. And the low for the rear, it should be 42 on my bike, so maybe 36-ish. High value for the front, maybe 39. And I mean, these are all just arbitrary for now. Okay, the headset. I don't tend to pair my headset directly to any of these units. I find it works far better if you just pair directly to your phone. Remote control. Well, obviously, and when I actually plug it into the bike and pair it to the CGRC LIN that I've got plugged in, I'll need to pair that, and that will work. Also, if I put the BMW adapter on and plugged it into the cradle, that obviously step wouldn't be required. The GPS, no GPS. Well, I'm inside, so not exactly a surprise there. The OBD, I don't have one because I don't need it. It's going to get the information from the CGRC LIN. The altitude calibration. Align the vehicle to keep it level. Click start. Oh, sorry, the attitude. I need more sleep. Yes. I'm not going to worry too much about that right now. So actually, that does make a very good point. One thing I think is also good that they've added is, obviously, if you got the BMW version, I can't speak for the AIO-5 Play or the Lite, but I know obviously on the AIO-5 for BMW, it picked up the lean angle information from the bike, but on this, it has it built in, so that will work regardless of which bike you have. Blind spot. Not going to turn that on because I've already recorded the on-bike footage and the action camera control. So the software version isn't ready yet that actually supports this, but I'll stick up a little clip now that I've been sent of how that will work. I'm actually really quite excited to try that. I've got an Insta360, so really looking forward to giving that a go. Okay, so let's go down to more, and I'm going to change it to miles. The camera switching, that basically means when you come to a stop or under a certain speed, it switches over to the rear camera. Great if you like that. Personally, I didn't have that option on, but it works fine. And then we can go up here and we can go to update. So pretty much exactly the same as it is on the AIO-5. You do an update, check, it will look for Wi-Fi, and it will then pull the update down, do a reboot, etc. This is already running the latest, so nothing I can show on there. We obviously have some tutorials built in for people to follow should they wish. And obviously we have the option to download the footage. So what I will do now over here on the left hand side of the screen, I will put up a little screen recording that I did prior to resetting the unit, where I effectively download one of the clips that I've recorded with this onto my phone. You can add it already has a lot of information on the video itself, including, GPS, speed, time, etc. But you can add other things in there as well, such as, lean angle and other watermarks that you want. And then you can export the video to your phone camera roll. So yeah. And then let's go back out to here. If I go to information here, so obviously there isn't anything for it to sort of pick up from the bike right now, but these are the screens. As you can see, the lean angle screen, the max lean angle. There we go. I should be in MotoGP now. A very, very clean layout. I must admit, I don't tend to use these data screens very often. Sorry, also that there is the SIM card strength. So on the subject of the 4G connectivity, I believe there is a yearly cost even if you use your own SIM card, which I believe is to cover the costs for whatever servers, you know, CHIGEE use to allow you to actually stream live information and footage from the bike. It might sound a lot, but although it isn't a tracker, the tracker that's on my bike, that, you know, cost me a hell of a lot more than that. So I don't think that's too bad. And if you get one of the SIM cards from CHIGEE themselves, I believe they waive that yearly cost, but you just have to pay for the data, you know, top up. I think you get 2 gig per month. Don't quote me on that. I'm not too familiar with that, you know, side of it. So yeah. Okay, enough waffling. And obviously if we go to the cameras, because it's not on the bike right now, but I can go into the album and we can go through and I can look at any of the videos that I've already done, as you can see there. Oh. Yeah. Wonderful. Okay, so now we get to the Apple CarPlay / Android Auto part. And again, the same as all of them. It is simply a case of pairing to your phone, which I will do now. Okay, so let me screen record this so you don't have to sort of put up with me trying to hold my phone. So what we're going to do is we can see the CHIGEE there. We're going to obviously select that. We're going to hit pair, allow, hit OK on the unit, and then we should get a notification for Apple CarPlay. Boom. Okay, and then we should get that. And there we go. We have Apple CarPlay. So I'm not going to dwell too long on the Apple CarPlay screen itself. It is, as you know, fluid as you would expect. Works absolutely flawlessly. What I will do actually is I will compare it to the AIO-5 Play for BMW that I also have. So let's plug in some power and then let's compare the two. So here we have both. So I'm hoping you can see if I can get the angle right. Although it may not necessarily seem like night and day, the size increase is pretty significant. So it's only 1 inch, but it's a 44% increase in screen area. So yeah, I'd say that is a pretty noticeable difference. So one mounting option that I stupidly forgot to mention was, and I've taken the screen off for ease of use, is obviously I think it's a 12 mil bar mount, which I believe you can get for the AIO-5 anyway. So yeah, this is the option I've gone for. I've also obviously mounted the front and rear cameras. I'm powering this off of my Hex EasyCam, so I don't have a permanent live feed for the security monitoring, but this is the option I've gone with. I have inside of here, I have put the CGRC LIN, which is plugged into the power into the connector that the nav cradle was, and then I'm using this obviously. So this looks very Garmin like. So what I'll do, let me just grab the unit and see if I can do this. It just literally in and then out, and there is a little anti-theft locking screw there, which I think is a T10 security Torx. You do, I think, with this mount, I think you do get a little end, but I managed to lose it within about the first hour. So yeah. Anywho, so that's how this goes in. So let's get the bike fired up, and I'll show you it on the bike with the Wonder Wheel. All right, let's fire her up. It takes a few seconds to fire up. That's because I'm powering this off the Hex EasyCan, and as you can see, it's already found the nav. And there we go. So at the moment, the Wonder Wheel is going to do nothing because I'm not using the BMW, cradle. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to wait for Apple CarPlay. There we go. Apple CarPlay has kicked in. So we're going to go into the setup, into features, into remote, and then we're going to just hit pair. Boom. That fast. Make sure vertical scrolling is on. Now that we have that, obviously, if I obviously press and hold up on the menu key, it switches over to nav, and you can see the word BMW there. So if I do a long left press on the Wonder Wheel, we go into Apple CarPlay, long left press, and we go into the cameras, single left press, we switch to the rear. The flickering is just because of the frame rate on the camera. Then we have front with rear in a little box, and rear with front. And then if I do a single right press of the Wonder Wheel, it takes a snapshot. So we can obviously also in here we can also change recording settings. I haven't messed with any of this, but we do have quite a few options in here. And then if we do another long left press, we get into the bike info. So as you can see, it's reading information out of the bike. Now, one thing I will say, this is a pre-release version of the software, and there is a little bug that, although I've switched it from kilometers to miles, it is actually showing the value of my range in K, but with miles. That'll be fixed soon. Don't worry about that. This sort of thing happens. If I switch over to the next screen, let's just go into first gear. As you can see there, the gear indicator working. Ambient air, engine temp, the date, the voltage, the lean angle, the lean angle screen. So we're now near the end of the video, and I didn't want this to be a video of just me staring at you trying to sell you this, because yeah, there is an affiliate link in the description. The code, as always, is the Stammering Biker. But what I'm going to do now, I'm going to put a bit of a compilation of riding, clips up, so that you don't have to stare at this. So while they're sort of playing, to give you an idea of what the unit, looks like while being used on the various screens, using different apps, Google Maps, Waze, Apple Maps, My Route app, and Kalimoto. I want to give some sort of final thoughts and answer the question that I've already been asked, and I'm probably going to be asked, which is, should you buy it? It's a difficult one for me to answer, because obviously, as I've said in other videos, if you buy using my affiliate link, I get something out of it. So I suppose you could say it's in my interest to try to convince you to A, buy one, or B, upgrade from your AIO-5. It's no secret I've been running the Carpuride W702 for the last 12 months. I love it. The only reason I ran that over the AIO-5 was the screen size. Could CHIGEE have made a 7-inch version? Absolutely. Do I think they should have? Based on what I've seen so far, no. The screen size increase, the sharpness, the clarity, the features, the flexibility, all of the things I've already spoken about outweigh that little extra. I've got more or less perfect eyesight, and I found the AIO-5 just a tiny little bit small. Not because the unit is small, and I think this is the important thing. You know, everyone's experience is slightly different, especially using Android Auto versus Apple CarPlay. The way the interface looks is out of the hands of, you know, is out of the hands of CHIGEE, etc. That's down to the apps. That's down to Apple and Android and how they give the flexibility to allow the apps to be shown. In some cases, more screen real estate is absolutely needed. There are some apps that are very poorly optimized for smaller screens. The extra inch and 44% increase in the screen area is very, very, you know, welcome. Now, I know I'm skirting around the point of should you buy one of these. I'm not going to answer that, you know, question. What I will say is, if you have the AIO-5, it's in good condition, but it's just that little bit too small, and you can get a decent, you know, price for it by, you know, selling it on, because you just want that larger screen, the flexibility. Again, I keep coming back to this word, flexibility. This is the main, you know, key with this unit. Okay, you could buy 2 very cheap AliExpress units if you've got, you know, multiple bikes. But like I said at the beginning of the video, in terms of the screen area, you can't please everybody. There will be people who will say that this unit is still too small. But there are also people, you know, as I've already said, that have made a mockery of how big the 7-inch units look. So you can't please everybody. I think this is a perfect size. It fits in, and I think if you have multiple bikes and you want the option where you can sort of say, well, I've got my, you know, GS for touring and everyday use, so I want to be able to use it on that with the Wonder Wheel, and have the cameras, but I've also got like a, I don't know, an R9T or a Ducati Street Fighter V4S, but I also want to use it on that. But I'm not really fussed about the cameras or a remote control. You can just build that, you know, bundle up however you want. And I think that is really the biggest reason why, if you have nothing and you're thinking about buying this, why I would go for it, more so than the screen size. The 4G options, I probably won't use them a great deal. I think they're great to have. I can't really obviously test the SOS, you know, features, because I don't really fancy crashing my bike just to find out that that works. The blind spot, you know, monitoring, which in one of the clips you are either watching now or have just watched, we'll have that in there. My bike already has it, but if it didn't, or I had another bike, and I had the optional cameras, it's nice to be able to carry that feature over. So yeah, that's a very long-winded way of me saying I love the unit. I think it's great. I think the all-new OS, the features, the fact that it gets, you know, regular updates, that you don't have to ask for the update, put it on an SD card, which is a bit of a faff. I think buying into the CHIGEE ecosystem, I really love it, and this will be staying on my bike. It's not going anywhere. I don't have a second bike, so arguably I could refit the BMW nav, you know, cradle. But I really like the CHIGEE quick release, you know, option. So yeah, I would recommend this to anybody, I suppose, is the long and short of it. As to whether you should upgrade, that's really down to you, your needs, your finances. I think the UK price is, I think for the LTE version is about £435, and I think for the Max it's about 370. Plus you start, you know, adding options on, that price goes up. So it is an investment. I think it's a worthwhile investment, and I would honestly be saying that even if I'd purchased this with my own money. Yeah, I'm waffling now. As for the differences between the Max and the LTE, it is purely the 4G. It is being able to view real-time information about where your bike is, stream the footage, you know, live, be able to geofence if you crash, and it can ring somebody for you. All of that is only for the 4G LTE version. However, everything else, the flexibility, the bundles, the cameras, the mounting options, blind spot monitoring, etc., is all on both. So it's purely just those extra peace of mind and safety features that come with the 4G or LTE version. So I'm going to shut up now. I hope you've enjoyed watching the video. It is a tiny bit, you know, it is a tiny bit, you know, rushed. It's been a mad sort of week, mad sort of week or two. Both myself and my partner haven't been very well, and we had to have our cat Bruno put to sleep yesterday. So that has kind of taken my focus away from getting this video out. If you have any questions, like I say, it's going to be on the bike long term. If you have any questions, I mean, obviously, you know, CHIGEE are the people that have all of the answers. However, if you do have any questions, anything you want me to showcase, you know, try out, test, get more info, please, you know, drop a comment. And like I say, if you like the video, please consider giving it a like and hitting that subscribe button. And also feel free to share this, you know, anywhere. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next video, and yeah, speak to you all soon.